All right, welcome everyone to episode 3 of The Inspection, where we take a closer look at all things homeownership, real estate, and everything in between. This week's guest, we are lucky to have Holzl Homes' very own Katie Haug, our licensed stager, our ace in the hole, our silver bullet, all the different phrases we can use for her. She is living in Batavia now, so she is local to the Kane County Tri-Cities market. We're so lucky to have her. Katie, how are you?
Hi, Chris. Good to be with you. Doing well
As
after the holidays.
as always, and I'm doing dry January, so we couldn't do this at our local watering hole together, but we'll definitely do that in future episodes because I don't know how much longer I'll make it, and it's only the 4th.
It's
But
going to be a long month.
our focus today is staging. Obviously, that's your forte. You are licensed in the field.
Yep.
You are certified, all the things FIDE that you need to be to deliver an amazing process for our clients. I know you're working on a massive home that's going to be on market next week that was vacant, and that was one of our largest projects over the last really 12 months. But let's take a step back real quick. Really curious how you got into staging, why you did it, how long you've been doing it, and what that process was like, if you can enlighten us.
Okay, yeah. Well, oddly enough, I remember the exact moment when I decided to pull the trigger on this career. I was actually in my house, swapping out decor, swapping out the mantle, doing a little cleaning, and I was super satisfied. And I thought, how could I do something like this part-time? And I actually sat down that day and looked into staging, and ended up not following through. This was back in probably 2016, so I still had all 4 kids at home with me. So I wasn't ready to jump into anything full-time or too overwhelming. And at the time that I started looking into it, it was really all about starting your own business. So I wasn't ready for that. I kind of tabled it, put it on the back burner. Fast forward 2 years, my oldest went off to college, and had a conversation with Carrie Holzl. She asked if I was still looking into staging, and at that point, they were seeing a real need for staging in the market, and she and her team were kind of staging their own listings and dipping their toe into it, and they got busy and felt like they needed to hire somebody. So 5 years later, here I am. After jumping on the Holzl Homes team, I did go get certified. Now, by law, you don't have to be certified to be a stager in Illinois. I'm not sure about other states, but here you technically don't need to be. But obviously, if you want to be taken seriously, and there were things I wanted to learn and things I wanted to know about the business. So I did go get certified. It was through an organization called Staged Homes. Did it downtown Chicago. It was just a 3-day event. So real quick, got the certification, and away I went. So
That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. And I've loved it. You know, it's a passion of mine. It's something that feels supernatural for me to do. So it doesn't feel a whole lot like work a lot of the time.
Amazing how staging brings a lot of creativity. However, where you got licensed, they were so creative that the certification and that 3-day seminar was called Staged Homes. Very, very creative. And
Right.
So
yeah.
Yikes on that. But
I mean, to the point, right? That's exactly what it was.
There was no question what you were there to learn.
It's a legit place, I swear.
It is legit. Yeah. It is legit. And honestly,
and it does make me an automatic member of the International Association of Home Staging Professionals. So.
Home Staging Professionals. I'll get that acronym another time. I'm curious because to me, staging is something that really happens on a light level in Kane County and surrounding counties and areas. Downtown Chicago, larger metropolitan areas, LA, we see all the TV shows selling OC, what have you. I mean, those homes spend sometimes tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars to stage a home. And here we are, and it's baked into our process, which I do find super unique, especially to the Tri-Cities area in particular. But what does that look like? If I'm a homeowner, I'm kind of nervous. We've had plenty of those where they're like, what is this? Like, they're not always on board right away. Curious on funny stories essentially later. But what does that process look like from consult to what a homeowner would expect, and what makes it go well?
Yeah. Well, home staging really, I mean, it's just basically taking the steps to get your home prepped and ready for the market, right? I mean, no matter your budget, no matter your time frame, there are things you can do to help to show your home in its best light, which is in your best interest, really. I mean, you wouldn't sell a car without detailing it, cleaning it, getting your personal stuff out of it, shining it up, because it's now really a product for the market, which essentially, you know, when our sellers choose to list their home becomes a product. And that's kind of an emotional struggle for them sometimes. So when I come in, which is the first thing I do as a consult, and we walk through, we do like usually up to about an hour or so, give or take, depending on the size of the home. We walk through it, and I am just pretty blunt about what needs to come down, what should go, what should stay, maybe some furniture arrangement being swapped around or changed up, packing things. A lot of what I tell them is what to pack. And most people take to that all pretty positively. There's been a few who have doubted me, but in the end, they typically say, you were right, when they see the power of staging. But, you know, it's those first steps, and it's the emotional part of it where we have said before, like, it's time to break up with the home. And I always say, you'll thank me later to get this process started. And that's exactly what it is. It's a process. So, you know, when they're half packed, when the time that they sell their home and they're already half packed because they've gotten rid of their extras and their personal things, it's not a bad thing.
No, I mean, a lot of people tell us, and I tell people when I sit down with them before you've even stepped foot in the home, is like, we're basically just helping kickstart the process of when it's a week before closing and the house is all over the place. You know, we're kind of helping consolidate, get rid of things. Sometimes our clients' garages are packed because they struggle to get rid of things. And sometimes they're moving out of state, and this is actually really helpful for them. And here we are, you know, sometimes 4 to 6 or more weeks away from when they'll actually, you know, sell or close. And they're starting, like you said, to detach themselves from the house a little bit. And yes, we've had many clients that are not on board, that many of which at the end, if not all, and especially when we get feedback from buyers saying, wow, this is amazing, especially at open houses, what have you, that they get on board pretty quickly thereafter. So, in terms of, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it, you know, when I go to consult, what I usually start out by telling our clients is, at Holzl Homes, our goal is to lighten, brighten, neutralize, depersonalize, and modernize the home, all within your time frame and budget. So it can be overwhelming to some people, but it can be as little or as much as they want to do. Nobody really wants to put money into their home when they're selling it, but any little bit of investment that you can put in, as far as maybe some light fixtures or just some updates with even hardware or paint or carpet or things that might really help show it in its best light, or any sweat equity as far as packing things, putting things away, just depersonalizing. You know, it really comes back to you exponentially and your final price.
No, and that's huge. You know, we tell folks, you know, at the listing table, you know, everybody's looking, they're either at work quickly on their computer or they're on their cell phone at a stoplight, and they're kind of on the fence on if they even want to dip their toe in the market, especially the one that exists today. And it's 3, 4, 5 swipes of the phone is what ultimately gets them in the door.
Right.
And when it's, you know, heavy drapery, it's maroon walls like the color of my shirt. When it's you know, heavy wood, or it just doesn't make sense for the modern buyer, which we use that term modern buyer all the time, then it becomes a challenge. And at the end of the day, there's not one seller out there that would be able to convince anyone that the best way to sell their home for top dollar is to get less people in the door. So, you know, ultimately we have to have them walk in and make sure that they're they're excited when they get there as well. That first impression, there's only so much you can do. And the cool thing about what you do is you don't say clear the house, we're starting from scratch, but we do that. We work anywhere from vacant, townhomes that we sell in the mid 200,000s. And you've also done excellent job staging homes in over $1 million and consultant on carpet and drapery and pulling things down, putting things away. So it's everywhere in between. But it's not like, the ability to work around what they have, which happens more times than not, is also unique to staging too.
Yeah, it sure is. And some of those $1 million houses, boy, those people are just as receptive as some of the other people, which I wasn't sure about that, but it's amazing. Everybody needs a little bit of advice on what should stay or go, or how we can neutralize. And really the goals that I have with lightening, brightening, neutralizing, and modernizing, that kind of encompasses everything that I really ever recommend. We lighten by, lightening up the paint color, like you say, get rid of the shirt color that you've got on. We brighten with extra lighting, or take down those things people struggle with when I ask them to take down window treatments. We prefer to show a nice, clean, crisp look with the trim around the windows. Let's light in. Typically, window treatments are very personal taste, which is another thing that we try to kind of diminish a little bit. Neutralization, we are neutralizing paint. We are neutralizing the walls by taking down personal things. Even, just people's artwork can be very personal. So I tend to use a lot of mirrors, clocks, abstract art. We want it to look nice. We want it to be warmed up, but we don't want anything to really jump out at you, or we're just trying to appeal to everybody, appeal to the masses that walk through the door, so that you can create that emotion, which is, one of the major benefits of staging is creating emotion for these buyers. Once that emotion has been sparked, it doesn't go away. So people who walk through that home, they can feel themselves living there. They can see their family living there. There's not a bunch of family pictures on the wall. They're going to walk out of there and they're going to hang on to that feeling that they had in that house. And the next showing they go to may be a house that's unstaged, that is a mess, or that just they can't get that same good feeling as when they walked in the door at the staged home. So buyers buy an emotion, justify on logic. So once you've got them emotionally attached, that's a valuable thing.
Yeah, 100%.
They'll tend to look past maybe some of the negative things, or maybe even some of the things that come up at an inspection. If they see themselves there and they've already got themselves, filling up the kitchen cabinets, then we've done our job.
100%.
Or I have, at least.
You make a great point on not just getting the buyers in, getting the offer. It's the rest of the process too. I mean, we leave our homes 99.9% of the time. Our homes are still staged when Mr. or Mrs. Appraiser walks in. And, one of the pieces that an appraiser looks at is an entire section is condition. It's a line item that they can grade homes up or down on. And I know during peak COVID, the last couple of years, homes are appraising for prices that I think even appraisers couldn't fathom, but they said yes to. And I think we're going to see that start to change quite a bit. So not only getting your home put in its best light to get the best offer, but now we need an appraiser to justify that number. So if the house is listed for 500, someone's willing to pay 5.25 because we did our job. Now the appraiser has to validate that, or it's all for naught as a seller. So that's a big piece as well. And it's tough to live in a staged home. We know that. That's why our process is get in, stage, do photos all on the same day, open house that weekend, and turn around and the goal is to drive up as much interest right away as possible. So with that being said, I do want to make mention of folks that have listened to this point. If you are curious to talk to us more, learn more about Katie's process and have her through your home, please comment below. All of her information is accessible in the comments and the details. And also, of course, like and subscribe this if it's interesting to you. So to close us out, Katie, I am curious about trends for this year, things you're seeing. I know you just put that calendar up. What are some things you're going to be bringing into homes that people like?
Right.
Or what are you hearing on what people are looking for on the buy side? Anything that's interesting?
It's the start of a new year. I feel like it's a new semester at school for me. I had a little low key kind of holiday time, and now I feel like it's go time. Bright, bold paint is going to be in the picture. Now, not necessarily for staging. I would never recommend that. But as far as like decor trends, and I know some of the major paint companies have come out with their colors of the year, and they tend to be very berry, very bright, very blush. So can be fun, little Art Deco coming back from what I've read. I'm thankful that the neutral palette is still going to be sticking around. They're going to have, I don't know, like with the wood and the baskets, the light wood, some green and blue toned paints, nice warm paints to kind of keep that cozy feel still going. I think we'll still see the muted brass, which I love because I'm about to commit to some of that on some vanities with hardware and faucets. But the muted brass, along with the neutral palette and even the curves, that kind of, those three things kind of came out last year with the neutral, the brass, and over the last couple of years. And the curved furniture, even architecture, just kind of softens things up a little bit and keeps it cozy. But we're still going to see those throughout 2023. So I will be, updating inventory and still trying to incorporate some of that into our listings, as staged homes really need to have trendy pieces in them. That's kind of part of it. And whether it's an arched mirror or natural pieces, as far as decor, furniture, we try to always stick with the trends.
Yeah, I mean, the homes that we're still seeing sell above top dollar, or are listing at top dollar and getting that number or close, are the ones that are bright, modern, neutral. I think neutral is the word of this conversation. Yeah. I think it was said 8 or 9 times. And so if there's anything to take away as a seller, it's, this process, it's a lot. It's an emotional decision. It's one of the largest sales financially in your life. So make the most of it. And when you have the resources around you to have someone provide honest feedback, kickstart your process for packing, and then also get buyers walking in the door, having that emotional connection to the home and giving them a blank canvas, knowing that they're going to have, to be able to run with it with their decor. If they want to go bold colors, they can. I'm sad to hear my 2021 color of the year, Urban Bronze, is already out of touch since it's in multiple rooms in my house. So I'll have to get you over to give me some tips on what it should look like now. Maybe like a neon.
That's okay. You're not selling your house.
That's perfect. Some days I want to, but that's home ownership. So
no, that's just it. You got to keep what.
So, well, this has been great. It's good to give people a high level idea of what you do, what staging is. Again, it's not the most common thing we see. I mean, I go with buyers to see 5 homes and I know none of them are staged. And sometimes they'll see 5 homes and one is staged. And sure enough, when we review what we saw, that's the one that we're talking about more times than not. So it brings a ton of value. If you're curious to learn more, again, comment below, head to our website, which is linked below. Feel free to send us an inquiry, and we're happy to kind of give you the rundown and everything. So Katie, enjoy the start to 2023.
Absolutely.
Excited for all the homes that we're going to be working on this year, and your super valuable piece to the market and certainly our team and our sellers. So we'll talk to you soon.
Well, thank you. Okay.